You're not training for a 30-minute race because you're actually doing a lot more than just 30 minutes. You're going to have your practice sessions, but then you're also going to have your qualifying sessions. So if you've got two qualifying sessions, which are about 15 minutes, and you're not someone who generally qualifies too well, and you might be on the border of qualifying and not qualifying, then you're probably going to have a last chance qualifier as well of about 4 laps, which might be an 8 to 10-minute race for you. So you're preparing for a 15-minute session, another 15-minute session, a 10-minute race, and then if you actually do qualify, then you're doing a 30-minute plus 2-lap race. So we don't want to prepare you for just 30 minutes of racing. We really need to be prepared for about an hour of racing. The thing that's different on race day compared to practice day is the intensity. The laps you're going to be putting in and the time you're going to be putting in on race day are going to be at an intensity up here. Even if you practice really hard and ride with faster guys, the intensity is not going to be up here. It's probably going to be here because you're not in a competitive, adrenaline-filled environment. So what I'm going to do in this video is show you 3 different exercises that you need to use to make sure you're prepared for an hour of high-intensity riding and racing on race day, so you can get your training transferring over to a pro motocross round. First thing that we want to do is you want to get yourself stronger. Stronger you can get yourself, the lighter you can get the bike to feel. If you can get the bike to feel lighter on race day, you're going to use a lot less energy. If you can get your body using a lot less energy on race day, you're going to have more energy to use for the rest of the day. So instead of wiping yourself out, running out of energy after the first qualifier, after the second qualifier, you're going to have more in the tank to be able to last through the day and through the weekend. First exercise I'm going to show you is called the deadlift. I'll show you what the deadlift is, and then I'll give you some cues that you can use. So this is what a deadlift looks like. You may have seen it before. I'll bang out a few reps for you just so you get familiar with what it looks like. A few cues that you can start with to be able to make sure you're performing it correctly. Make sure your feet are underneath your hips. Make sure that when you're lifting, you keep your back straight. Okay, so I'll show you again. Feet underneath hips, back nice and straight. We're focusing on just using a light load to start with. Once you get comfortable with the movement and you know that you're performing it correctly, then you can start to load up and go a little bit heavier. Better you can get with the deadlift, the easier you're going to find it to muscle the bike around. If you can make it easier to muscle the bike around, again, you use less energy, you've got more energy left for the rest of the day. Next thing I'm going to show you guys, I might just move this over a little bit more, is a rowing machine. But you don't have to use a rowing machine. Reason we're touching on this machine, cardio, okay? When you're going riding, you might be doing a half an hour race. You might be doing a 15-minute qualifying session. But it's not 15 minutes of riding. It's not half an hour of riding. Because when you go and do, say, a half an hour moto on a motocross track at the Pro Motocross, there's different levels of intensity, lap by lap, corner by corner. Some sections, if you're racing at Southwick, for example, in the deep set, some sections are going to be really, really rough and really, really hard. You're going to be going through a whole heap of sandy whoops. You're really fighting the bike. You're up on the pegs. The bike's wanting to do its own thing. You're working against it. Okay, you're in the sand. You're trying to keep up your momentum and trying to keep up your speed to keep on top of the sand and be able to keep your momentum moving forward. Easier said than done though, right? But that's a hard section. Okay, that takes a lot of physical effort. It takes a lot of energy out of you. Whereas some other parts of the track, you might be going like through a big corner or a nice big sand berm, sand rut, and you can sit down and you might be moving fast, but your body's not really exerting itself anywhere near as much as those whooped out sections. So what's happening here? We're going high intensity through the whoop section, lower intensity through the corners, higher intensity through a whole heap of braking bumps, lower intensity coming out of a corner. We've got these fluctuations of intensity. It's not like getting on a cycle bike and going riding for an hour at a consistent speed and consistent heart rate. It's going like this, lap by lap, corner by corner. So what we want to do is replicate that as best we can. How do we do that? We use interval work, okay? High intensity interval training. How can you do this on a rowing machine? You might do a 20-minute workout. It might be a minute flat out as hard as you can go, followed by a minute rest. A minute as hard as you can go, followed by a minute rest. And you might do that for 20 minutes. What this is going to do is get your body comfortable and used to going to extremely high heart rate, working very hard, but it's also going to force your body to recover in a shorter period of time. Because at the end of the day, we're not trying to go hard for 30 minutes at a motocross race. We're trying to go hard over the whoops, and then we're trying to recover quickly in the corner, and then we're trying to be able to go hard again and then for the next section. So it's all about how quickly can we recover and how comfortable are we working at a high heart rate. We want your body to be comfortable with that. So Concept 2 rower is a great start for that. You can use body weight workouts as well, or CrossFit style workouts where you use 2 or 3 movements in a workout. More like circuit training. You might do, say, a minute of burpees, you might do a minute of push-ups, and then you might do a minute of rowing, and you might do 5 rounds of that. Another example, you could use an exercise bike, okay? You could use a cycling bike. You could use a treadmill. You could go down to the parks and do sprints or do sled runs. Heaps of stuff that you can do, but the whole goal, the modality is not really the most important thing. The most important thing is that you're exerting yourself, you're going very hard for a short period of time, followed by a bit of rest, and then going hard again. That's what we want to get your body good at. Third exercise that you need to be able to do is not any of this stuff. It's actually getting on the bike and doing some good quality motos when you go out and practice. If you're getting ready for a half an hour race and you go out to the track and all you do is 10 minutes of riding at a time, then you're going to have a problem, right? You can see the problem. Your body's only comfortable doing 10 minutes and we're expecting it to do 30 minutes or more out on race day. So when you go and practice, make sure you're doing the longer motos. Make sure you're spending time on the bike for half an hour, 35 minutes, 40 minutes, however long your race day motos are going to be. So when you get out there on race day, you know what it's going to feel like. Your body's used to it. If you're going out there and only doing 10-minute rides and then trying to race for 30 minutes, you're always going to struggle because you're doing the complete opposite to what you've been practicing on practice days. If you'd like some help with this stuff, or you've got a Pro Motocross round coming up that you'd like to work towards and be fit for, you can apply for my Faster Laps program below. Otherwise, hopefully you enjoyed this video.